Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Film Frauds, where myself, Matt, and my co-host Tyler
Hello.
provide our completely unprofessional, 100% biased opinions on the movies of today, tomorrow, and yesteryear. But today, we're back with the new movies, 2024 films. We are talking Deadpool and Wolverine, which we saw 2 days ago, and we are also doing our 2024 recap, which will include mostly movies for Tyler and mostly TV shows for me. And so, yeah, we're going to be talking about a bunch of new stuff that we've liked. If you're listening, make sure to leave a review
So proud of
on
you.
Spotify
This is so
or
great.
Apple Plus. If you're listening on YouTube as well, that includes you, Franchise Mutiny. I
We
know you
love
have
you.
Spotify. I know you have Apple Plus. Just go leave a 5-star review, and even if you have already done that, just do it again.
You can
Just
leave. It doesn't even have to be 5 stars. It could be like
yes.
2 stars. That's
No,
it.
no. It could be
No,
5 stars, but you can leave a negative review.
yeah, be like, you
Yeah.
guys are dirty, dirty bastards, dirty bitches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You owe us money. You both owe me money,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah, like you guys owe
Of
us.
course. But Tyler, you want to take away this Deadpool and Wolverine discussion, your most anticipated movie of 2024, of the 2020s, I think, as well.
Yeah.
He's the biggest Ryan Reynolds fan that I know. He has Mint Mobile just because Ryan Reynolds wants to help him fight Big Wireless.
I just mainline aviation gin, Mint Mobile. What other companies does he have? Doesn't he have like Mint Mobile's the doesn't he have a credit card company?
Maybe.
I'm a Wrexham FC supporter. Is
Mm.
that his football show?
You know way more about Ryan Reynolds than I thought.
Red Notice is a movie I have seen.
You've seen that? You've seen Free Guy?
I went to
You are the
the
biggest Ryan Reynolds fan.
I went to the historic theater in Westwood and saw Free Guy, like that super nice big. If anybody who's seen a theater, you know what theater I'm talking about in Westwood by UCLA. I saw Free Guy. I paid money for it. I'm just all up in it. I'm all up in his stuff. I have seen
He's all up
I've
in his
seen
Wrexham.
Buried. He's pretty good in Buried. I've seen The Voices. He's pretty good in The Voices.
Mm.
He's yoked in the remake of Amityville Horror. Ryan Reynolds. I like The Proposal.
Okay.
I Now that I'm talking about it, I think I've seen way more of his movies. The Adam Project, I've seen. Not
Wow,
that
you
good.
are the biggest Ryan Reynolds fan.
Now I'm a little concerned that I've seen way too many of his movies. Hold on. Well, yeah. So we initially started this episode. Well, we had planned we were gonna do we've been doing the X-Men movies, and we were initially gonna do the Deadpool movies, and then you watched the first Deadpool, and you're like, we don't have to do these. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
I was
don't have
like,
anything to say.
I was like, oh, thank God. The first Deadpool movie came out in 2016.
Yes.
It was good. It was at time one of the highest R-rated grossing movies of all time. It's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it was an unexpected hit.
Yep.
It all started with that leaked Comic-Con footage
Yep.
of Deadpool, and then it's been something that Ryan Reynolds has been wanting to make for years. He obviously played Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is
The
still
best,
my
the
favorite
best Deadpool.
interpretation of my still my favorite interpretation of
Yeah.
Deadpool. But yeah, Deadpool, the franchise is sort of like the little engine that could with regards to where it started versus where it is now. You said to me that it's the sixth highest grossing opening
Of all time.
of all time.
Literally of all time. The new one, Deadpool and
Yeah,
Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
And I mean the first two Deadpool and Deadpool 2 were among, I think it was like they're either 2 and 3 or 3 and 4 now respectively for the highest rated. These movies are just Deadpool's a very popular character, and regardless of our opinions or maybe film critics' opinions on the movies or Ryan Reynolds' personality, people fucking love these movies. They are staples of
Mm,
our 2010 and on film culture. They just are, as annoying
yeah.
as you are. I I admittedly, while you were talking, I pulled up Ryan Gosling movies. I've seen Deadpool. I've seen Bullet
Ryan
Train.
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, sorry. I've seen Bullet Train. I've seen Deadpool 2. I've seen the new Deadpool. I've seen Free Guy. He's apparently in Ted. Don't
He's
remember
in
that.
Bullet Train?
He's in Bullet Train. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
He plays a cameo. It's fine. I've
Oh.
seen The Proposal. I've seen Detective Pikachu. Seen The Adam Project, Red Notice, Life, The Croods, Fast and Furious, the Hobbs and Shaw. I've seen Adventureland. I've seen
Oh
Green
yeah, he's in
Lantern.
that movie. I forgot.
I haven't seen If, so I'm not a complete cock. I've seen both Hitman's Bodyguards. I turned on Spirited for my family on Christmas and they made it 10 minutes before like this movie sucks. I've seen Turbo. I've seen Blade. I've seen R.I.P.D. I've seen Safe House, which I love. I've seen The Change Up. Wow. I've seen Selfless. Did you know that's a movie?
No.
Oh my god, I've seen so many of his movies. Oh my, this is This is actually kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, let's end the segment before you
I haven't seen Waiting. That's a movie I haven't seen.
oh wow.
I'm gonna add it to the watch list. I've seen Van Wilder. Yeah, okay. I've seen a lot of his movies. I haven't seen Chaos Theory. Okay, sorry. So Deadpool's fine. Deadpool
Welcome to
2X,
Film Prods, where we spend half of our time on Letterboxd
where I'm
looking at
just
other people's thoughts on movies.
where I'm kind of disgusted at how many I've seen. So I've seen Deadpool. It's good. I've seen Deadpool 2. I actually kind of like Deadpool 2.
It's solid. Josh Brolin's good as Cable.
Yeah, I remember it. It's pretty good. And then they just didn't make another one for 6 years or whatever.
Yeah, well, mostly probably because of the pandemic and
Yeah.
obviously the disaster of like Fox's closing
Yeah.
and being acquired by Disney Plus. So
Yeah.
I think time has helped. I think time is a contributing factor to why Deadpool 3 is making the money that it is. Because it's, unlike every other MCU property, it's not like every 2 years you get a new movie from, you see these people again. It's like there was a good amount of time between Deadpool 2 and what we have now.
Hmm.
And the inclusion of Wolverine just adds like further excitement, which
Yeah.
also Logan came out like 7 years ago at this
Yeah.
point. So, um, you know, enough, unlike Furiosa, like there was space, but not
Yeah.
too much space
Yeah.
between
we
like
we could
sequels.
we could get legitimately be like we get excited, and the Ryan Reynolds stick is old. He's been playing this type of like schmarmy, quirky, down to earth, but like billionaire. He's a billionaire. Like it is what
Yeah.
he's like. He's a super wealthy guy. It's a little bit old. It works, I think, in bit parts, and it's hard to see him be super earnest. He's a really weird actor.
Yeah, I have a hard time taking him as genuine
He's
most of the time.
but there's like he is nowhere near as talented as someone say like Adam Sandler. Like nowhere. Like it's like
Or Hugh
leagues
Jackman,
or Hugh Jackman
as
leagues.
this movie will prove.
But Ryan Reynolds can be a good actor. Like I think he can. He's
Yeah,
genuinely good in Buried and he's genuinely good in The Voices. The Voices is a very like underrated movie. I would heavily recommend it. Same with Buried, but like he has the potential, but he's taken the Rock route where he's the same guy in all the movies because it
yeah.
works. He is just a movie star playing a one note role. And our initial catalyst for this episode was just we wanted to recap movies you saw in 2024 media, who and whatnot. But I mean, now with Deadpool and Wolverine being the movie of the year potentially next to Inside Out 2 and Dune 2, we kind of had to talk about it. Or at least we wanted to talk about
It'll
it.
it'll make more money than any movie that's been out so far, right?
Maybe because Inside Out has really good legs. Inside Out's
Yeah.
making $1.5 billion when it's all said and
Okay.
done. Deadpool and Wolverine might be around there, but I mean, it has the sixth highest opening weekend of all time. We bought tickets the day of you did,
Yep.
and there was nobody you said, and we
Yes.
saw it then in a packed theater at what was it 2 days ago? So Tuesday,
At 3:30.
and it was like it was packed, absolutely madhouse. We saw the movie. It's two
Yes.
hours. There was we were walking into the movie theater and a kid walking his bike inside the theater walked by us. It was like, what movie are you guys seeing? And you were like, Deadpool. And he's like, that movie fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It just kept walking. And we're like, okay. There was a 4-year-old in our movie theater, probably
Yes.
younger.
There was also so I was accustomed because we saw Maxine and Longlegs at that same theater, and there was like no one in either theater. So
Beautiful.
I naively went in assuming that it would be pretty empty.
Yep.
And I actually had to touch arms with someone in the theater, and it was like the first time I've done that in years, probably before COVID. Um, and he was like a dad. He was with like his wife and like his son, who was probably like a late teens. And at first the son comes in and he's like, "We would have gotten a better showing if you decided to go to the gym today." And then when the Falcon trailer came on,
Yeah.
he was like,
The
he's like,
Falcon trailer?
well, Captain America. Well, he's
Oh,
Falcon, right?
yeah.
Captain America, Falcon,
Yeah.
Falcon and the Red Hulk. Um,
Which you
when
turned, you're like, because you didn't see the trailer and you're like, there's a
no,
red one?
yeah,
There's a red one.
and the guy first of all he went, oh, they made this guy Captain America now, obviously because complaining about the fact that a black guy is playing Captain America,
Yeah.
and then a series of completely unbelievable events happened in the trailer, like larger than life events, including a Red Hulk, and the trailer ended. And because Captain America was black, the guy went, nope.
Did he really?
Yeah.
It-
Even
Good
though
for
they
him.
set up for like 10 years at this point that Falcon is Captain America's right-hand man, and if
Yeah.
Captain America was to somehow lose his role, like Falcon would probably be the worthy successor to it.
He said 5 years to come to terms with this. Endgame was 5 years
Yeah.
ago. He said
He's had
5
since
years.
Winter Soldier to come to terms with this.
Yeah. But I think that brings up a good point. The dude on the right to me was like, I think a guy like in like construction who just like
Yeah,
who
by
literally
himself.
by himself who just seemed like he came off a shift and was just cackling. Like this is a type of movie that we haven't had since Endgame, maybe No Way
Yeah.
Home. That's just bringing everybody into the theater, like everybody into the theater. Like
Yeah.
we were seated behind like we were seated in front of like a group of guys and girls in their 20s. There was a
Yeah.
kid there. There was like a genuinely mixed group, which is cool.
It is
Um,
cool.
that people are seeing movies. We can talk about the audience reaction to it because we watched it. It is a movie.
Yeah.
Um, I have opinions on it, which I have not told you about that have evolved kind of since we
Wow.
started talking.
You're a
Based
little bit higher, I noticed on your letterbox
I
review.
did not want to write it.
Did
I was
a little soul searching.
I did a little we will talk about that. But I want to hear your thoughts
You
because
went into you watched some of Ryan Reynolds Rectum Sports.
just rectum sports. It's Wrexham
Oh,
or
you dived into Ryan Reynolds Rectum. You
is
really
it
got to know
Wrexham? Rentham? Who knows? Okay,
who
Matt,
knows.
tell me you watched the movie. We saw the
Yes.
movie. We paid. You still have to Venmo me. We paid money for it.
Oh yeah, I do have to Venmo. I didn't get it. No, I bought the tickets.
Yeah, you have to Venmo me. So I
Oh,
don't know how
oh
much they
yeah.
were. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to charge me. I could just guess and send
I
you
think
like 20.
I owe you for the Zoom monthly
Oh
subscription.
god.
So
All right, sure, why not?
maybe
Okay.
we'll just call it even. Um,
Yeah. But you saw you were admittedly the movie ended and you're like, cool. What were your thoughts on it? How have they kind of sat for the last few days?
so I'm now so first of all, I'm actually really glad that we did a bunch of Wolverine and X-Men watches before this because for example, I mean we're probably gonna go into spoilers
Yeah, this is
with this discussion.
spoiler. I mean,
Yeah,
it's 500 million probably by the end of this upcoming weekend. Everybody's gonna go see it. This is a
yeah.
spoiler heavy discussion. We won't try to
Skip
talk about
to
it.
like our 2024 recap.
Yeah, if you
Where,
don't want to talk about it or
yeah,
go see the movie and come back, or you know how it
yeah.
is.
Like for example, like when we were talking about the devil guy from First Class, we're like, he's so cool. Like, why isn't he doing more stuff?
Azazel.
Azazel. And then lo and behold, Azazel shows up in this movie and barely does anything, but he got another movie.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. I think from going through all the Wolverine movies again, X-Men stuff, and then finally with this movie, I don't even like during my when I was in high school when MCU was like knocking it out of the park pretty much with every film. Like I was never I never like nerdgasmed before.
With
Like I
like you
was
did with
always
Azazel.
yeah, like I think with like I did with Azazel.
You and I were there. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's Chris Evans," and you and I were like, the only two people who were like Azazel.
Yeah, we're the only two people who cared when Azazel showed up. Um, but holy crap, I am still feeling post nerdgasms. I'm still my post nut nerdgasm haze when freaking Wolverine put on his stupid mask in the final act of this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I'm such an uber Wolverine fan until I watched this movie, and I was like, I'm still smiling at some of the moments that he had in this and here. It's if you're a Wolverine fan or a closeted Wolverine fan like me who didn't realize it until now, there's so much to love here. Like again, like I was kind of trashing this movie in previous podcasts because I was like, oh my God, they're gonna resurrect Wolverine. We had a really great send off with him and Logan. Like, can't this just be the end? And this movie justifies, to a certain extent, bringing back Hugh Jackman.
To a
Not
certain
fully,
extent. To a
to a
certain
certain
extent.
extent,
Yep.
not because of the script, but because, again, Hugh Jackman is a phenomenal actor and he's giving this movie his all. As you said, he's treading water again with his themes, but my God, does he look good while he's
Yeah,
treading that goddamn
he's so
water?
good with
He
it.
is looking good while he's doing it, and I can watch him do it for the next 10 years because this movie made bank, and my God, they're gonna have even more money
they're
to give him for
they're
Deadpool
dragging
Wolverine
him back alive.
Part
Yeah.
2.
Yep.
But he's trying, and the scenes with Laura I thought were good. He injects heart where heart is sorely lacking in the Deadpool's 1 and 2, and in Deadpool 3 as well. There's basically no heart to the movie except for when Hugh Jackman is on screen. Even when Hugh Jackman is like when Wolverine the character is just trashing Deadpool, like you feel like the grit. He's so good, you
Yeah.
can't take your eyes off of him, and you
Yeah.
know to a certain extent it's like the criticism he has of Deadpool is also like some self-loathing as well, because in this universe he's not the Wolverine from Logan from the main timeline. He's a different Wolverine from another world who never set up to the plate to become an X-Men, and therefore was the reason why all the mutants are now eliminated in his world. So he has that regret. He's so freaking good in this movie, and it helps. I think that like the improvement of special effects has helped Wolverine a lot throughout the years because we can't go back to a PG-13 Wolverine ever again with
Yeah, it's done.
after
It's
Logan
done.
in this, like the
Well, they're
long takes of like
yeah.
just blood and guts flying everywhere as he stabs people.
I have
It's
bad news for you
like
though. Avengers, the new ones are he's gonna probably be in them and they're gonna be PG-13.
yeah, okay, true, but it's not going to be like a Wolverine vehicle. It's
That's
like
fair.
like
That's
Deadpool
fair.
Wolverine
That's
is like
fair.
he's not going to be like a main character, I would assume.
Yeah.
It's Hugh Jackman just reminds us as to how good he is and
Yeah.
why like he like compared to any other actor playing a superhero or supervillain, like he is Wolverine and he's the best to ever do
He's
it.
the fucking best. I don't know how they would ever justify I don't know how they after especially after this movie, and you're right, like rewatching the X-Men movies and rewatching this, how did they can't top it. They would have to go in a completely different direction, but you almost can't. There's that scene in this movie where he's like before they have their fight in the Honda Odyssey or whatever that joke is. Where he's like really like tearing into Deadpool and he's
Yeah,
like, it's fucking God's joke, but it's on all of us. And he's like
yeah,
banging, and you're just like, shit, dude. Like that clip has been pirated and put onto like Instagram, onto YouTube Shorts, onto Twitter, and people being like, "Holy fuck!" Like, and for justifiably so, he's such a good actor, and
yeah,
he's able to kind of be a little bit goofier with it at times and kind of play into, but like they take a lot of that, I think, strengths in that performance of Logan, making it harder, making it just a little bit more world weary and just despondent, and really like leaning into what Hugh Jackman does well, and it's like gruff, like uh like grittiness to like a line reading, which I think
yeah.
is just absolutely amazing. But yeah, Hugo, what else do you think? So Wolverine rocks. You're a little bit higher on it than I am.
There, so I didn't laugh a lot in this movie, especially compared to most of the audience. Like, holy crap, every time they showed that stupid dog,
I like the dog.
everyone burst out with laughter, and I just sat there, waiting for the scenes to end. The joke is that it's ugly, and it's gonna be, and they make the joke literally like 5 times throughout the course of the movie. Lots of people getting shot and or stabbed in the balls, which again, the guy next to me exploded with laughter every time that happened.
Yep.
But there are funny jokes in the movie. For example, the Chris Evans cameo, you immediately assume that it's Captain America, and
Yep.
when he says "flame on," like the audience like almost
Was like,
gasped
yeah, it was like,
because they're like, "Holy
whoa.
crap!" Like it was a really good subversion,
Yeah.
and it's funny seeing Chris Evans, who in Captain America, he's like the good boy, like the
Yeah.
purely good person. So having him having a little more of an edge here was kind of funny to see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it does have good jokes. and it has good character moments. And I would say Deadpool becomes more tolerable as the film goes along to a certain extent. I mean, there are scenes where he's just talking and talking, and I got a headache like listening to him.
Yeah,
But
yeah, you and I we hit a point where we're like, is this movie's got to be longer than 2 hours? Like it's a
yeah,
2 hour movie. You and I you like checked your watch and we're just like, oh.
but there is a point where Deadpool looks to the camera and goes, "Don't worry, guys, we're wrapping this up,"
Yeah, and you're
which
like,
is
all
pretty
right,
funny.
fine. You're like, I get it. Yeah. I have some thoughts.
Yeah, I want to know. So take me on a journey from because when we exited the movie, you're like, I'm done with MCU. That sucked. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in
I
my
didn't say it
life.
was the worst thing
I
that's
feel
ever.
betrayed
How dare a
because
Deadpool movie not reach my artistic
yes,
value?
yes, it seems like you've come to terms with it a little bit more. You're a little more endeared to it. So why, apart from listening to the Big Picture Shows podcast, have you changed your opinions
To believe
on?
it or not, and you might not believe this, I have not listened to it.
Wow.
I just
Wait,
I
did
don't
Josh Lewis post his review yet? Is that
I don't
is
think
that where
so.
it
I
came
don't
from?
think
Okay.
so. So yeah, you left being like that was really fun. Like you were just like
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, Wolverine. Holy shit! Like I'm just happy he's back. You were like skipping. You were doing claw stuff in the
Yeah.
car. You were threatening
I know to a
people.
little kid, I was like,
Yeah, you went to an old lady
the parents
with.
were really creeped out. Yeah.
Yep. And I left
I
being
went home
like
and I bought a Wolverine suit.
just like. It's like to think your parents come home and you're
Yeah.
just claw. You're like a. I left being like, damn, I might be just these movies might not be for me anymore. Was kind of my initial take. I was kind of like really kind of just burnt out. Of like the jokes of all of it, and I think for me the biggest thing that kind of stood out was I was like, I don't think this movie. If you ignore all the isms, the Ryan Reynolds isms, the Marvel isms, I was like, I just don't think it's a very like structurally, thematically very good movie. The
I know
Wolverine,
it sort of rests on the fact that Deadpool is doing this for his core family and Deadpool's 1 and 2, and
yeah,
yet they're in the movie for like 5 minutes. So
fucking not even.
you can't really believe it.
Not even. Well,
Say I
it's
care so much about my world and what I've established, and they're literally they're in the very beginning and the very end.
the very end, yeah. And I think for me, like structurally, thematically, narratively, there's a lot of stuff that is conflicting or stuff that I just didn't find super interesting. At first, like let me this is initial like I walked out of the theater. The stakes, we talked about this with the Logan movie. Like it was sick to have a superhero movie where the stakes are like, we gotta get the kids from here to here.
Yeah.
Like it's actually fit. It's like it makes it so much more tense. It makes so much more engaging as an audience member. And for this, they tried to replicate it in some capacity by limiting the stakes by saying, like, hey, everybody, these 9 people in this photo are all I have. I just want to save them. But how you save them is you're talking about the removal of a universe and a reality. And at a certain point, I think that is the biggest thing that has hampered me with Marvel movies now is like, it's just the stakes don't matter to me. Like, I cannot fundamentally grasp as an audience member the idea, the concept of like a universe going away. I have not seen Loki season 2. I just don't think I get what they're going for with these timelines. I
And
think I'm just
they
out.
spend so much time, like even in Deadpool 3, they spend so much time. They spend like 20 minutes. He's in the time cops, the time bureau's
Yeah.
lair, like where the guy from Succession is like trying to explain like, oh, every
Oh,
universe
that's where
has
he's
has a
from.
core
Okay.
character, and if that character dies, then
He's an
therefore the
anchor
universe
point.
is dying. But
Yeah.
they spend so much time like trying to explain all these completely like stupid like time travel stories don't make any sense fundamentally,
Yeah.
but like to spend so much time trying to justify what these stupid terms you're making up. It'd be funny if like Deadpool like in the movie like fast forwarded through it, like, oh, we don't care about
Yeah.
these plot
Anchor
points or
point, blah,
whatever, or
blah,
these
blah, blah.
MacGuffins.
Yeah.
But no, they spend so much time like earnestly trying to set up this stuff, and then it's made worse because Deadpool is like throwing in dumb jokes in between to like distract the audience to keep them like it's like the comedy equivalent to sex position, like Game of Thrones and that, where it's like characters having sex while plot point while
Talking
like
about it.
lore is
Yeah.
being explained. It's like the
Exposition's a
equivalent of
good.
that.
Is that like an official term? I've never heard of
Yeah,
that
sex
before.
position is an official term.
I didn't know that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I completely agree. It's to me, there's a lot of like you have these stakes and then the large portion of the movie like there's a ticking clock element of like you have 72 hours or you have until the time dilator is
Yeah.
completed and it's like
It's
but
like
it
arbitrary stakes, arbitrary. like clock. It's just like, and it all ends with like all this energy exploding, and the
Yeah, and
lady explodes,
it
and
doesn't matter. And when
yeah,
you're in the movie, the ticking clock kind of element kind of goes away in some
yeah.
capacity. So you don't have that. And as much as I love Hugh Jackman and Wolverine, they've been doing the same fucking arc the entire his run of X-Men.
But
Is
it's still so damn
it's
good.
so good, but he's an outsider who doesn't fit in, and he has to learn to fit in over the course of the movie and accept. And you're like, yeah, it's really cool, and like, but like we've done this like 7 times, like, and I know it's core to his character, but at a certain point, like you combine it. So then the appeal of the movie is, well, Deadpool and his fourth wall breaks, in the inclusion of Wolverine in a radar movie, and it's enough. Like it's enough. And when I left, I was like, from a general just movie perspective, I was kind of just like, meh, like, nah, it kind of sucked. Um, and then I went home.
It's just funny, like, oh, I'm sorry. Keep
No, no,
going.
okay, no, keep going. I want to hear it.
It's just funny, like I was thinking of Deadpool 1, and it's like compare like a million Deadpools fighting each other, and like all these all these like different worlds all
Yeah.
combining, and like compare it to Deadpool 1, where it's like TJ Miller is like
Yeah.
your
You're
your
you're a
face
ball sack.
looks like my penis in,
Yeah.
at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, your voice is like a car engine got had its scrotum torn off. Like,
You're like, wow, we really, it's 1,000 Deadpools versus TJ
like
Miller.
remember TJ Miller?
He was in it, and he's like, remember Dead? Yeah. TJ Miller sucked. Remember he gets blown up in Age of Extinction?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah, where
that.
he
Yep.
gets like caramelized or
Yep.
metallized.
Yep.
Yeah. I like how you're just like TJ Miller. He's in the second one. Do you remember that?
I don't remember him being in the second one at all.
He's in that one scene where they do all the power-ups, and he's like, you remember Ryan Reynolds? And he like looks to the camera. He did an interview recently where he's like, Ryan Reynolds was a cool guy, and then he got famous. I don't like him for that. And it's like, aren't you like a bad dude?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
I
by
don't
all,
get his,
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know if you're the moral
yeah.
authority, or it's just like the Jonathan Majors got asked by TMZ, and he's like, it's like, do you feel like Robert Downey Jr. didn't do good things? And he's like, I'm just happy they're getting a shot. And you're like, Robert Downey Jr. was like a drug addict. You just like you allegedly. Actually, he was
Yeah.
convicted. I don't have to say allegedly. You
Okay.
assaulted your girlfriend like
Yeah.
a
Like
little bit of
multiple
a
times.
yeah, multiple times. You're not a good dude. He compared himself to like Martin Luther King. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. But
People have to realize that actors have just huge bloated self-image. Even when they pretend to be down to earth, like they all think they're Jesus.
oh my god, dude. Okay, so and then I'll get to my point. I'm almost done with this book, Easy Rider, Raging
Yeah.
Bulls. And it's
Mhm.
literally like how every actor director from 1967, who basically the foundations of like New Hollywood, um, Scorsese,
Yeah.
Spielberg, like Ashby, like all these people are like coked out, like insane, like pieces of shit, like horrible human beings.
Yeah.
Um,
I was watching an interview like a because Timothy Chalamet did like a
Chalamet,
Chalamet, what is it?
Chalamet. I think it's the
Whatever.
T.
Like he did like he did a cologne commercial with Martin Scorsese, and
Oh,
the shot is literally him going like blue aqua. Like this is literally that's literally it. And it's like
Timotei.
it's Scorsese and Timothée talking about like how much time it took and like to understand the character and to set up the shot for like it's 30 minutes. It's literally 100 times the length of the commercial, and they're just like gushing about like the art of it. I'm
Yeah, you're like it's all
okay,
narcissism.
yeah, it's all narcissism.
It's all narcissism.
I
They're,
mean, to
they're
make a movie about the Osage people, make it only about white people is already incredibly narcissistic
you
to
got it.
begin
You
with.
did it. You found a way. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Did it. What we're talking about?
Oh yeah, so your evolution, your
Okay, so I went home
yeah.
and I was really curious to see what the general reception to this movie was. I was like, because we saw it in a theater where the average person, let's just say, someone who doesn't go on Letterboxd or try to be a film critic or whatever, like us wannabe bitches right here. Um,
Yeah.
um,
The only thing lamer than making a perfume commercial is
to,
talking about it on a podcast.
to like 50 people and being like, look how stupid they are. um, but I was like, the average person saw this movie in our theater and fucking loved it. Like loved it. Loved it. And you look at the reviews and stuff like that, and I was really getting into the weeds of like critics, like really like movie critics who are like, this is the biggest piece of shit on the planet. Like corporate, like
Deadpool 3?
Deadpool 3.
Okay.
Not the perfume commercial or cologne commercial.
How did you
Uh,
find my Letterboxd review for the perfume commercial?
you create a whole separate app just for commercials, just so you can
Yeah.
shit on the perfume commercial. But who are basically just calling it like the biggest like abomination to cinema, or in some like more eloquent terms. And I was just kind of like, no, it's not. I was
Yeah.
like, it's not even the biggest, most offensive movie by the director itself. That's Free Guy. Like, if you want to actively look towards a piece of movie, like a film that I think demonstrably talks down to the audience, exists in the realm of like IPism and like consumerism and capitalism and the kind of like the lowering of standards or just appealing to the lowest common denominator, it's Free Guy. Like I firmly believe that. Deadpool and Wolverine, and I kind of got like a little into like not into, but I was kind of like Ryan Reynolds. I think regardless of your stance on him, I do think cares about
No,
this as his character.
yeah, the one thing I will never take away from Ryan Reynolds is that he fought tooth and nail
Yeah,
to make these movies, and like the success of the movies is very much dependent on his passion for
yeah.
the character.
And you honestly have to wonder at a certain point if he is this shtick because it continues to keep Deadpool movies alive. Because
Yeah.
everybody's like, it's Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool in this movie, and
Is he funneling his crap movies,
into
the money
Deadpool.
into Deadpool?
And you
Yeah.
know what? He is probably the best version of it we'll probably ever get. Like if you're talking about
Yeah.
pure movie personality to representation, obviously the movies can be better, but you have an artist who seems like he genuinely truly cares about it. In with also another performer, Hugh Jackman, who is the living embodiment of like superhero movies, at least for our generation, like him and Robert Downey Jr. Like, let's be real, like
Yeah.
the two most emblematic, but and I kind of just got a little annoyed at like critics being like, this is the biggest piece of shit on the planet. Cause I was like, there is so much more you can shit on in movies coming out
Yeah.
now than this, which I think is an earnest attempt at this movie that does not work. It is
I mean, the movie takes chances. There is a hard R in
there's
a
that scene
Disney
of
movie.
spoiler alert, but Captain America's Johnny Storm being like his
Yeah.
skin ripped off and like
Yeah.
liquefying is like legitimately like made me go, oh, like ooh,
Mm.
like wow. Yeah, hard R. Hard R. It has I think it has
They say
more
the hard R.
they do. And you can only say it from Wesley Snipes because
Yeah. Wesley Wesley Snipes was like, I will only be in this movie if I get to say the hard R in a Disney property.
it
Like,
was crazy. That was honestly probably the biggest laugh I got in the movie.
yeah.
When he's like, I thought you were retired.
Like I think it's famous in Blade 2 where like there's a scene where he refused to open his eyes. Like he was like, and so like they had to CGI his eyes being open because Wesley Snipes is insane. He just
Insane,
refused to
dude.
open his eyes. I
Yeah.
have to think that like on set, the script, there's no hard R in the script at all, but he just kept saying it.
Yeah.
And like we don't have a single cut where he doesn't say it. We need to put it into the
Yeah, we
movie.
use him in the movie. When we clarify, this is the quote of the movie. Ryan Reynolds goes, I thought you were retired. He just goes, retarded. And it's just like it's very funny. But my whole point is like I kind of like a few days have gone by and it just has been like aging perfectly fine in my mind. It's not this like big piece of shit. I do think it's a movie that is better in its individual parts probably than the sum.
Yeah.
If you think about it in terms of like what it structurally does and how the movie proceeds, not really that good, but like it has enough fun. It's like fun. It's fine. And I think
Yeah,
I
it's a
left.
movie that when it goes on Disney Plus, I'll probably rewatch it.
Me too. I'll put it on then like I'll put it on casually
Yeah.
if I'm like have a long day at like work or
Yeah.
something. I'll just be like fuck it, like let's put it on. And I think I left that theater being like man, like I don't know. And then I just kind of gauged reception and I was like I think I'm just wrong. I think I'm not wrong, but
The
I'm just a
film
little
bros are
mean.
just, I think, are bullying this movie so they can feel good about themselves.
It's just like it's a 3-star movie to me. Like, and I
Yeah.
think it just kind of ends in that. I don't know. I think we're way too hard. I think I'm responding negatively to how what contemporary film criticism is, and it's just everybody seems really not happy, and I just want to watch some movies and have some fun. I feel
Yeah,
like I've just been like, I don't know if you've seen my letterbox, and go follow us on letterbox, by the way, but like I'm just kind of being a lot more lenient or like forgiving with movies recently. Like giving, like I gave Source Code, fun movie, by the way, like 4 stars. Like I'm just like, it's a fun movie. Like why? Like why am I gonna be a dick and like, oh, it can't be four? I don't know. Deadpool Wolverine has caused me to reconsider film criticism and people being like really, really like mean when
yeah,
what we need, because we're having like a legitimate crisis this year where people aren't going to the movies. Normal people like these kind of movies. And if we want movie theaters and movies to survive, you just can't be like, you can't just be, but like, get more people to see this and then attract more people to the other movies. That's it. Like that's my take. I have, we could talk about the specifics of the movie. I just like I had a moment. Like I was like at home yesterday, like in the shower, being like, I think this movie's fine. I think I was wrong. And that
okay.
was that. Yeah.
It's definitely creatively driven. Like I would say it's more creatively driven than any Marvel movie post Endgame. That
Guardians 3, probably the only
oh yeah,
exception.
Guardians 3 exists.
Well, what else? Like you Shang-Chi is fine. Speak of a movie that's just not gonna get a sequel, apparently. It's not coming out.
Eternals. I never saw Eternals. I
It's
didn't
fine.
see
It's pretty
Miss
good, actually.
Marvel in the
Multiverse.
Wonder Team.
Miss Marvel and the Wonder Team. There's a TV. I don't know. Like it's just I don't watch the TV shows of these things. I watched. I did watch She-Hulk.
You didn't watch season 2 of Loki, but you watched She-Hulk.
I okay. To be fair, and I have no problem comfortably saying this on camera. I watched She-Hulk when I was like really into edibles. I
Okay.
basically take like an edible or two and just. I also watched that in Moon Knight when we went through a massive heat wave, a 2 to 3 week heat wave of like 90 to 95 in LA, and I was in a concrete apartment and we had no AC, so I had no way to cool down. So for like 3 weeks, I was just always sweaty and like a little delirious. So I watched like Moon Knight and She Hulk. It was like it's fine, and that's when I watched like 2 episodes of The Ring of Power. It was like this
Yeah.
sucked.
I like Ring of Power. I'm excited for season 2.
You're such a woke. You're one of the wokes. Um, let's keep talking about the movie. What other thoughts do you have on it? What other things stood out, or like after a few days?
I don't know. You said the filmmaker is like your least favorite filmmaker of all time. I thought
He's like
that
getting up there.
I thought that he did a good job directing the action. I thought the fights between Deadpool, there's two fights between Deadpool and Wolverine specifically, and I thought both were very good.
Yes.
Lots of long takes. The end of the movie, which features Deadpool and Wolverine fighting Deadpools from all across the worlds, um, is like an old boy-esque tracking shot,
Which is cool.
and it looks beautiful. I'm sure like on rewatches, there's little details in the fight that I missed in the first
Yeah.
go, but it's just more proof that Wolverine the type of character Wolverine is, like that primal bestial fighting style. It just works so much better with modern effects and with being a rated R as
Yeah.
well. It looks so good. And just as I said, like a lot of the small Wolverine moments have stuck with me. Like I did love the conversation between Lara and Logan. I
Yeah.
thought Lara was really good, was a good addition to come back. Again, with regards to Ryan Reynolds' passion for Deadpool, he does also give credit to a lot of Sony's characters that otherwise would have been swept under the rug by
Fox
Marvel,
characters.
Fox,
Yep.
by Fox. Electra comes back. And as someone who loved the Daredevil movie growing up as a kid, it was
Yeah,
super
me
cool to see
too.
Electra coming back. And even
That
like
movie's
Gambit,
good.
like Channing Tatum has been desperate to make a Gambit movie, and he finally gets to play Gambit, and a movie that is in the sixth has had the sixth best box office opening of all time.
He's
So he
doing like a
finally,
he's doing a weird accent.
yeah, they addressed it as well, which is
Yeah.
funny. But that fight scene with all like the has-been space fighting in that like Mad Max Thunderdome-esque arena, it was really well made as well. The action has probably the best budget of any Deadpool movie so far. It looks the best. And yeah, it's just a movie that's been aging really well in my mind. I cannot get the scene where Logan puts on the mask out of my mind because even from a character perspective, it shows that he's gone full superhero at this
Yeah.
point.
You were
It is
vibrating in
so
your seat.
it is so cool. I never nerdgasm, but I nerdgasmed hard when that happened. Um, and it does leave me admittedly excited for a Deadpool Wolverine 3. I mean 2.
Are they gonna make another one? Because like, yeah,
It had the sixth best
yeah,
box office
yeah.
opening of all
They're
time.
making another one.
Tyler.
I, I, yeah. I mean, I can't like disagree with all this. Like, it's clearly a movie that like I don't know if it 100% works, but they are very much like trying to pay respect to Fox characters, like kind of ending it. The end, the credits play over like bloopers of all the Fox movies. And you're like, that's kind of sweet. You're like, I like seeing like Hugh Jackman be like goofy on a set in like 2004. And you're like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like you have like these like you have this movie that I think can be good, that has good moments. That just kind of like it all comes together and kind of like a all right. Like I really think like when you have it at the end where they're like, oh, it's just an energy, like they're fighting energy, and Wolverine's shirt comes off, and you're like, wow, he still got it. He
Yeah.
still got it. Uh, and then Nova, who was pretty cool. I like when she has like the little hand thing in the face when she
Yeah, that
does
was
that.
pretty disturbing, but
Yeah,
it was good.
when she's just like doing her thing, and she's just like a telekinetic like girl doing her thing. Like
Yeah.
cool. Like it's fine. It's a movie.
So
It's
we both pretty safely recommend this.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you if you like the other two Deadpool movies, I mean, how like it's right up your alley. I'd say it's a little bit less funny
Yeah.
than and there are if what Ryan Reynolds said was true in an interview, I found this. He basically was like, we tried to tell a good movie first, and then we wrote the jokes in after. And that basically kind of confirms that it's like it's not a very good comedy and it's not a very good movie. So they just they just didn't
They
really
failed
have
on both
kind of at
parts.
least for me they're like like just bad in like a C minus on both of those for me. But yeah, my issues are primarily now with like the structure itself of the movie. I don't
Yeah.
think is that good. And Sean Levy, by the way, he's probably not my least favorite director. I actually just pulled this up. He made the Nightmare Night of Museum movies. You can, that's our generation's
Yeah.
like Citizen Kane. Like let's be real.
Night of Smithsonian is one of the best sequels ever made.
I would agree. Those two movies are like great. Real Steel, I kind of like that Hugh Jackman
Okay.
robot boxing movie, but he did make The Internship, which is the biggest piece of shit on the planet, in
Wow.
which Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson go to Google and through anti-wokeness, they use
Wow.
their
They
manliness.
showed the woke libs of California who's boss.
They're literally like that, yeah. But we're gonna get our isn't Vince Vaughn in the new S. Craig Zoller movie?
Yeah, no, him and Adrian Brody.
In Major Brody?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
can't
mean,
wait.
I think Vince Vaughn is like the controlled conservative versus the Mel Gibson
Yeah,
like
word conservative, yeah.
unhinged
The
conservative.
unhinged conservative who's making like B movies straight to Redbox. Every,
That article with S. Craig Zoller where they're like trying to prompt him up as being like this figurehead for conservative filmmaking. He goes
yeah.
like, I like to make things that are cool to me. He goes, yeah, what about the libs? He goes, I mean, like sometimes they're kind of annoying, but I don't really think about them very often.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he hates
Yeah,
the
in the article,
libs.
it's like S. Creek Zoller is the MAGA filmmaker, and it's like that's not anywhere in the article. Like,
Yeah, and then you watch the movie and it's like cops constantly breaking the laws
and like they get consequences for it,
and
like,
have
and they're not
consequences
good.
for them.
Yeah, they're like they're horrible pieces of shit. Like,
Yeah.
and they die. Yeah. Ah, good times. Mel Gibson.
Prisons are horrible places to go.
Yeah, Mel
People
Gibson
are
is.
people are wrongfully accused of doing things.
Yeah, yeah. S. Creek Zoller. Jeremy Saulnier. This is our
Yeah, he's
time
got yeah.
for gritty for gritty. I don't know where I'm going with that. They're our boys.
No, I'm fighting the good fight.
Just get him more movies. Why are we having this movie cost $200 million? Just give 20 million of that to these two guys, and we got some good movies.
Yeah.
Okay. 2024.
Yes. Lots of
Take it
things
away.
come out.
Yeah, take it away.
Okay,
What did
I'll
you
go
watch?
first.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll start with movies because I've seen less movies and I want to talk about my TV shows as well.
Yeah,
Um, Dune Part 2 was very good.
it
I
is.
think more than any other like sci-fi movie, I think Dune's Part 1 and 2 like really rely on each other for like a complete experience.
Mm-hmm.
like as I said in my most recent Letterboxd review, like I feel like you can watch Empire Strikes Back just on a random night and like get cathartic experience out of it.
Yep.
Deadpool Dune Part One feels like it's all like set up, and Dune Part Two feels like it's all payoff.
Yep.
But when I said you did not Saturn, you cannot say you Saturn.
I did not the way you did.
I
You're
Saturn.
just an insane
I watched
person.
both movies in one day on
Yeah.
Saturn on Dune Part Two's release day, and I
I
feel like
literally Olive and I showed up at your girlfrint's apartment and you
yeah,
were guys were watching Dune like an
yeah,
hour
we were
before we had to go
finishing
see
it.
Dune 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a more like fulfilling experience
Yep.
that way, but it's an excellent movie, and it'll go down as probably like the sci-fi series of the 2020s of our generation.
Yep.
Challengers,
Let's talk about it. We don't have to spend too
yeah,
much time on it. I liked your review.
yeah.
I'm very curious. Tell me about it. I loved it.
Again, I went in with really high expectations because it is beloved on Letterboxd. IMDb has more mixed reviews, but on Letterboxd, everyone's like, "Huh, they're horny, right? 5 stars."
Yeah.
Um, it's really good. It's really good from a filmmaking standpoint. As someone who has had in the past a hard time buying into Zendaya, especially in Dune Part Two, where she's this in
She's
the
a what?
whole
Yeah, yeah. She's
second part of
really
the
good in
film.
Challengers. She's really good in
Yeah,
Challengers.
she's very good in Challengers. The two guys are really good as well. The filmmaker Luca
Guadagnino. Yeah.
Guadagnino, like
Guadagnino.
I've seen his Suspiria remake, and that's the only thing I've seen by him. But he's a very good filmmaker. It got to the point where it's like the fifth shocking betrayal makeout scene to classical music. I was like, okay, I get why the film bros will orgasm every time this happens, but for me, like it feels like it's ringing a little shallow by this point. It felt
Okay.
like the characters kind of like lost their humanity and it just sort of became more for shock value.
I don't think they
But like
had
the
humanity.
way like tennis is filmed throughout the movie, like they find new ways to film it is very good. In the conversations, like there's so much energy when people are talking, like they're going back and forth, but like it's so it's a little over 2 hours long, but because of the energy
Flies
throughout,
by.
it flies by.
Yeah.
So it is a really good movie, but I don't think it's like an all-timer for me.
See, for me, it's the best movie so far this year. Like I gotta be
Okay.
honest, I'm all in, and I think it just feels like a type of movie we don't have, an adult movie with adult characters and adult themes with like adult filmmaking, um, that explores like
I would say
complex.
thematically, it feels more like a young adult movie.
I think it's just like it's like a constant a constant blue ball until we have that final like orgasmic like moment at the end. Like it's just like it's constantly teasing you until you get there.
Okay.
Um, I think Josh O'Connor, the guy who plays Patrick, not Patrick, he's the taller one. You don't know
Single
this.
one.
The single one, yeah.
Yeah.
The I think he's gonna be in the new Knives Out movie.
Okay.
He is
That's
going to
unfortunate.
no,
He
he's
could
gonna
be
be
he could be in better movies.
no, he can't. Hey, um, he is going to be like I think a genuine like movie star. Like he's incredible in La Chimera, which is a movie that came out technically in 2023, but it's 2024 release. He's incredible in that. But I think he's going to be a genuine movie star. And this was also the movie that I was like, oh shit, Zendaya's fucking awesome. Like she's so good. And I didn't watch Euphoria, so yeah.
Yeah. Find Me Falling.
What's that?
It's like some like one hit wonder rock star goes to Cyprus to like find the girl that he went to Cyprus before he was famous,
Yep.
and like they had like a little like swing or whatever, and then he had to leave. And it's like a stupid romance movie. It had interesting existential elements where it's like the guy is like a bit of a has-been,
Just
and
for our audience, Find
yeah,
Me
he's
Falling.
like a bit of a has-been, and he makes his home in like a suicide hotspot area.
Yep.
So there's like kind of like interesting themes there, but it just becomes like generic romance movie. But like Cyprus looks beautiful, and I want to go there. So it did. It's part of the producers were like the Cyprus tourist
Yep.
industry. Like so like they
You're
make it
like,
look
yeah,
really beautiful.
yeah.
Um it's not the worst romance movie, not as bad as Mother of the Bride, but it's not particularly memorable. Most disappointing movie I would say is Love Lies Bleeding. As someone who
Fascinating.
had so much hype for Rose Glass with Saint Maud, and I still think she's a great filmmaker. I just think she needs better scripts. Um, Love Lies Bleeding I thought it was gonna be like this really like awesome, like tense, edgy, like thriller, or like these two people are on the run and things like that. But it's a lot of people kind of like standing around and a lot of sex scenes, so you know that they're in love without them actually making a case for why they're in love. Um, it's pretty good. It has a lot of cringy visuals, I would say, that made me laugh more than made me feel horror. It just felt like it could have been a lot more than what it was. I don't know. You saw it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm a little bit higher on you because I just but it's basically like three different movies and none of them are fully developed. It's a romance movie, it's an addiction bodybuilding, like pushing yourself to the brink movie, and it's like a neo-noir, like gross, grimy, like thriller. And none of them are kind of work in tandem at times. They kind of distract from
Yeah,
each
it's so
other.
many weird plots. Like they try to make
Yeah,
cohesive, but it always feels
yeah.
so disconnected.
Yeah, and that's probably my biggest criticism of it. And even Olive was like at the same thing. She's like, nah, not for me. Like we saw it in theaters. We saw it with the guy who, when there's a sex scene, he was like, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the inside of it. But it's like three different movies that don't really coincide, but are also all like fine.
Yeah,
You kind of leave being like, that was good, pretty good, I think. But of course, your mileage may vary on what you
yeah,
consider to be developed or to be coherent or structurally sound, I would say.
yeah. I saw Land of Bad.
That was like the happiest I've ever been as I saw you log that on Letterboxd, and I was like, that's the biggest Tyler movie I've ever seen.
More like Land of Bad. Uh, it's a generic war movie that has no budget, so it's basically Liam Hemsworth walking in a forest for 90% of the movie where he's trying to act, but he has literally no charisma at all. Versus Russell Crowe, who is like his commander, who's like behind the scenes. There's a scene where he has to go shopping for his vegan wife, and he is just chewing the scenery. It is so entertaining. He's like, what is this? He's like, you have this? And he goes, yeah, we had this. He goes, well, you could have fooled me. And there's a scene later where there's like his second in command is like this black younger lady, and he's like, "Can you be my first? Can you walk me down the aisle at my wedding?" And he goes, "Me?" And he goes, "Yeah." And like they have this really sweet moment, and then he goes, "What am I gonna do on the dance floor?" And she goes, "You're gonna twerk." And he goes, "What's twerking?" Russell Crowe is so good. It's almost worth watching just fast forward to Russell Crowe scenes because he's
Okay.
so freaking good in this movie. Everything else is land of forgettable. It's not very good.
Okay.
Maxine Longlegs, we did
Yeah, we did.
podcasts on
Yeah.
those. Miniseries Ripley by
Oh yeah,
Steve
I gotta watch. I gotta see
Zalian,
that.
who
Yeah.
was the writer for The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. One of his first directorial movies, though. He wrote and directed this. It's like 8 hours. It's 7 parts, so it's like roughly 7 hours. It has the best cinematography of anything that will come out in 2024. It roughly, Talented Mr. Ripley,
I
like
know
that
the movie.
story.
I've never seen it. I know about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's based off a book as well, but it roughly follows this guy named Ripley who is like this. He works in like finances in New York, but he's basically tasked by these rich people in New York to go find their son who is living on the Amalfi Coast with his girlfriend, and they're incredibly rich, so he can live there as much as he wants with no consequences, but they want to bring him home, so he's tasked with bringing him home. And then just shenanigans ensue, lots of funny moments and everything like that. But Ripley is a closeted gay man who is like falling in love with this guy, and so that's like a huge. What the guy's name is Dickie,
Yep.
who's living abroad. I've never like orgasmically groaned so much. There are so many, especially like when in the beginning, like they're in Naples and in the Amalfi Coast, and there are just so many black and white because the movie it's all filmed in black and white. There's so many just black and white shots to like jazz music
Yep.
of the Amalfi Coast, and it's so beautiful. Like as someone who has traveled a lot, reasonably for my age, I guess. Like in my pictures, my favorite pictures are of my time in Napoli.
Yep.
Like I think those are my best pictures I've taken are there. It's one of the sketchiest cities I've been to, but it's also so beautiful, and they capture that so well here. It's like everything that I want in cinema. It's like it feels like Antonioni, but in like the modern day to a certain extent, where it's like the Antonioni like slow style, but
Okay.
with like the modern cinema. Like you remember Cold War is black and white too, and it's so beautiful. And I've always said like when I first heard Roger Ebert say like, oh, the biggest mistake cinema made was that they started filming they stopped filming in black and white. And I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, shut up. Like, obviously movies look
You,
better now. And now, like, when you see modern movies filmed in black and white, they look so beautiful.
yeah.
And you don't need the color to see the beauty in the landscape. It's an excellently written miniseries. It's something that it can't be put on a theatrical screen because of its length, but I would long to see it because it's just so stunning to look at. And Steve Zalian is one of the best screenwriters working today, and he creates such compelling characters. And like the longer runtime allows you to experiment more with things that the talented Mr. Ripley movie could not do.
Is it your favorite thing of 2024 so far, you think?
No, I'll get to my favorite thing in
Okay.
2024, but
Okay.
it's like number two, I would say. It's
Okay.
two or three.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive because I've heard good things about it. And
Yes,
I mean,
I think on a
yeah.
rewatch it'll probably be like even better though because it's so smart. It's like it's probably the smartest thing I've watched in 2024.
I just like the way to your heart is just to film European and beautiful locations and film them well. And you're like, yes.
That's why I want to be a famous writer, just so I can spend my time in traveling Europe and just taking
Take,
pictures of
yeah.
things. That's all I want. I saw Rebel Moon Part 2. These movies
Yeah.
are like Deadpool 3. These movies are as someone who hates Zack Snyder and has been on record multiple times as hating the movies that he makes. I've come full circle with it, and I no longer have expectations. Like I watched um Army of the Dead, and I was pissed because there was so much potential for a fun movie. Because his only good movie up to that
It
point
was Man of Steel.
was was Dawn of the Dead, and that
Yeah.
movie is fun for the most part, and it was depressing and miserable. But I've come full circle. I can watch Rebel Moon Part 2, where a little girl gets shot and explodes and explodes into heaven, and I can just laugh.
Explodes
I can
into heaven. That should just poof into a cloud. It's like
literally
God's
you have
like,
to
hey, what's up?
watch the movie, and I will, and I'm accurately describing it. I can just laugh now because it doesn't matter. He'll make crap for the Snyder Bros who just want boring, miserable nightmares, and I can now laugh at how dumb they are. I watched this movie at work because like I had no students, so and like you can just hear for literally 2.5 hours
In a
explosions
school
and
environment too.
yeah, in a school environment, and I have no regrets for that. It's I gave it 2 stars. I highly enjoyed it. I laughed several times. Sympathizer, based off of the book The Sympathizer.
Yeah, I want to watch this one. I heard this one was
Yes.
interesting.
The first 3 episodes are directed by Park Chan-wook.
Oh, we didn't do the whole series?
No, unfortunately, did not do the
Ah,
whole series. The
okay.
first 3 episodes are also the best of it. It's like I'm so conflicted because on one hand, it's like we got 3 hours of Park Chan-wook content in 2024, but I'm also like, I wish it did the whole thing,
Yeah.
at the same time. And for the 3 episodes that he does are like some of his best work as well. It's incredible. It definitely trails off once you lose his directorial genius. I mean, full disclosure, he's like my favorite filmmaker
Is he, you
at
think,
this
like
point.
probably pound
Yeah.
for pound? Yeah.
Yeah, pound for pound, he's the best. And he has the best fight scene he's ever filmed here. It's incredible. It's really awkward, but it's incredible.
Okay.
And it would have been better if he had finished the series. But for what it's worth, The Sympathizer I think is worth watching, even though he didn't have full control. We both saw Furio, so we did a video on it. Mother of the Bride feels like it's written by AI. There's literally a scene where Miranda Cosgrove is at the end is like, from this experience, I have learned that family is what is important, and I should not give myself away to money and affluence. These things do not matter. It literally,
Is like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's literally that. Shogun, I was very excited for this.
You
The
are.
miniseries Shogun, it's excellent. Civil War, my favorite movie of 2024 so far. I've been meaning to rewatch it. I have not gotten around to it. Roadhouse, garbage. I give it 2.5 stars. Oh my God, I gotta lower that. I get it a higher grade than Rebel Moon Part
Yeah, the
2.
scar giver, the scar
What am I, a
giver.
hack? And then Badland Hunters. Did you see Badland Hunters?
No, it's our Train to Busan film fraud's
Yeah,
husband.
Ma Dong Seok is
Yep.
stars in it. He has really great fight scenes. The movie is very forgettable, but when he's fighting, when he's kicking ass, it's awesome.
Yep.
And then finally, my favorite thing of 2024, sleeper hit as well, the Fallout TV show.
What favorite thing of 2024?
Yes.
Favorite
Yeah, so
over
far.
Wow. Okay. Tell me about this because
Purely like from I don't think it's like I don't think it's as well made as Ripley, for example, but like pure enjoyment. It's Fallout, the Fallout TV
it
show.
was that good.
It is amazing.
Okay.
It has like almost like Yorgos-esque humor
Okay.
in it with like it even reminds me a bit of Turbo Kid as well. It's like post-apocalyptic. Everyone's a little like naive as well. I'm not even like an uber Fallout fan. Like I like the Fallout games. I'm not like an uber Fallout fan. But this movie, I mean, this TV show, first of all, amazing production value. It has great action scenes because it's made by Amazon, and the sets are all incredible as well. But it has like this sort of glib sense of humor to it where it's like depressing post-apocalyptic world, but like it has like this weird like dark humor as well. For example, there's a scene where the two main characters get caught up in like another vault. They go to another vault and
Mhm.
it's run by these mutants. And you realize that they have like there's like this cult around it and everything. It's very disturbing. And eventually they get caught and they're having this trial, and you're like, you think they're gonna get executed by the because like you think they're gonna get executed for what they did, and it turns out they the sentence that they're just gonna let them go. They're like, oh, you're free to go,
Yeah.
and they go, of course they're gonna give you 2 weeks of provisions so you can survive out there. Like, of course they're gonna do that. Like they end up being like the nicest people ever, and like they're super understanding and everything. It's very bloody, very gory, but it has like this weird like optimism as well, where you always think bad things are gonna happen, but for the most part, you're surprised by the fact that like generally speaking, it's naive, but generally speaking, people are relatively good to
Hmm.
them. Um, it's like 10 episodes long, so I can't possibly recap the plot, but it was just there were so many good mysteries, so much good action, really great character development, and it just has like this whimsical tone to it, like in spite of the grotesque violence that's throughout. It was such a surprise, and I just could not get enough of it when I was watching it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's your favorite thing because I honestly, with how much you hyped up Ripley and Shogun and Civil War,
Yeah.
the
I'm
fall
talking purely just from like enjoyment.
from an entertainment
Yeah,
perspective, yeah, it's
entertainment. Yeah.
like, wow, okay. How would you describe this year so far for yourself in like media? Like, is this a good year? Is this a
Okay, so I would say it's an unexpectedly good year, mainly because for television, like I just talked about a bunch of t television shows, Shogun, Ripley, Fallout, and all that. I was really nervous that because of Succession's success,
mhm.
Succession success, that more shows like quote unquote prestige television, which is just like glorified soap operas, would be more popular.
Yeah.
And really, it's only House of the Dragon that has followed suit. It's HBO that is desperately trying to successionize its television, where it's
Mm.
House of the Dragon is a succession, but with a fantasy
Mm,
like coat
okay.
over it, where it's just people in rooms screaming about the same things that they screamed about in the last 10 episodes. And it's so boring. Every episode's over an hour long and nothing happens. But everyone goes, oh, that was so good. It was so well acted. Well, Kendall complains about the same things in season one they complained about season four. Nothing fucking happens in these TV shows. Roy, whatever his name is, not an amazing character because the actor does a good job. He's literally a one-note character who just Brian Cox is a phenomenal actor and let him
Mm.
cook. And again, it goes to like when we were talking earlier about like, the ego of actors, where it's like Succession. I watched the finale of Succession and I just see like every actor has like a 10-minute monologue. I'm like, this is their Emmy clip. Like this only exists to be their Emmy clip for when they're nominated. So they have this fucking stupid scene. Um, and now House of the Dragon is doing the same thing where it's like Game of Thrones, especially in the earlier seasons, it had so many colorful and creative characters. And here it's like everyone is just like miserable and they're all self-motivated, which I mean, Game of Thrones is interesting because like Cersei was always riding the line
Yep.
of like what was morally acceptable, societally acceptable for her to do. And like you're pissed off because she would always like just barely overstep
Yep.
herself, but not never enough where she'd be punished for it. And here it's like a character like almost stabs another, like the queen almost stabs the princess and cuts her. And you're like, if that happened in Game of Thrones, like heads would roll.
Yeah.
Like heads would fucking roll that happened.
That'd
And
be the end of the
here,
season kind of thing.
yeah, and here it's dramatic for the ending of the episode, but then by the next episode it's forgotten. And
What's the
it's
reception? So
dumb.
are people a fan of House of the Dragon right now? Is it like a good reception?
People are thinking the season's more boring. I
Okay.
mean, the thing that really pissed people off was when two girls kissed, of course, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, how could they do that?" But
In my fantasy show?
Yeah, in
It's
my
not
fantasy
real.
show with dragons, two
Yeah.
girls kissing. Are you serious?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Um, and as if like gay people didn't kiss in season one of
Isn't there like isn't the
Renly kissed.
Targaryens, isn't their entire bloodline incest?
Yeah, it's all incest as well. Which obviously, like the fact that every Targaryen isn't like a genetic like
Yeah,
this
monstrosity.
disinformed. Like they're all
Yeah.
beautiful. Like that's already completely unbelievable. But whatever. Um, the two girls kiss, so that's obviously completely unbelievable for my fantasy TV
Yeah.
show.
How dare they?
But
Friggin' woke.
it's like you're watching it. It's like every episode's an hour long, and every scene is so long and so overly dramatic, and no one feels distinct because they're all the same kind of character.
Mm.
They're all Succession based characters.
Are you gonna how many episodes
I
is this
stopped
season?
watching it. I
You're
I'm like
done.
I got to episode 4 or 5, and I was like I can't. Like
You're
I finished
done.
season one barely, and then here it's like I can't convince myself this is worth watching.
Hell yeah.
And I finished Acolyte.
You did?
Yeah.
You, you actually watched it? Was that I'm surprised it didn't make it into your recap.
It's not worth it, really. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's not as bad. It's not gonna kill Star Wars, but it's also not it's not Andor, you know.
Yeah. It's not the Andor quality.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. That's a pretty good recap. That was pretty awesome. Seems like this year's
Yeah.
actually pretty good. What's
Yeah,
the
I've been
thing
very happy with what I watched this year.
what's the thing you're most looking forward to for the end of the year?
Rings of Power season 2.
Is it Gladiator 2?
I'm looking
Gladiator
forward to
2.
Gladiator too. I'm like a Ridley Scott truther, I feel like. Where it's like even when his scripts are bad, like I just watched Napoleon and I'm like he's a phenomenal director.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
everything he makes because
Yeah.
I've been doing my Ridley Scott ranks like for the past like year and a half.
Yeah.
And each of his movies, have different debatable with quality wise, but he adds like he's such a diverse director.
Yeah.
Like even in his like epics, like his like medieval epics, like each medieval epic feels distinct from like a directorial and like visual standpoint. He keeps making movies,
He's
whether or
making
not they're
them.
good,
He's
it's
like, yeah.
debatable. But
He's like
he
85.
always brings something. I never have watched a Ridley Scott movie and felt like he half-assed it. I'll say that.
Exodus, Gods and Kings.
Okay, Exodus, Gods and Kings, he half-assed, but everything else, like even Napoleon, is not a particularly good movie, but like he adds so much visual flair to it.
Hell yeah. Okay. Seems like a good year, honestly, from your perspective, which I think is pretty
Oh
cool.
no, no, never mind. Alien Romulus is my most anticipated movie.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's,
which
it's a
we
thing.
are lining up
Yeah.
tomorrow to
It's
go
it's
see.
Alien Romulus, and
Yeah.
it's like everything else is like way way
Yeah.
below that.
Yeah. You and I lined up tomorrow for 2 weeks
Yeah,
in advance. Just be
yeah, yeah,
getting those face hugger. Please. I need to see this. Covenant.
yeah,
Ah, wow, that was pretty good. I cannot top that. I did not see as many TV. I do not watch as many TV shows.
yeah. You should watch Fallout. Fallout is
I
really
should
good.
watch Fallout. Well, speaking of TV shows, I did actually watch one TV show, which is arguably one of my favorite things of the year so far, and that's Apple TV Plus's Presumed Innocent with Jake
Okay.
Gyllenhaal. Basically, what happens when you take camp material and you basically then just give material to really good actors
Yeah.
and just see what they do and give it to really good directing and production design and basically just let Jake Gyllenhaal do whatever the fuck he wants because he's been in this weird action. I like Ambulance, Roadhouse. Quality may vary on that. It's not a very good movie. It is a fine movie. But basically, like, what happens when you give one of the best actors working today material in which he can act? You're gonna have a good time, and then you surround him with like genuinely good supporting actors. Peter Skarsgård is in this movie, and or in this show, and he's phenomenal. It's 8 episodes. They're all like 45 minutes each. I would say there's probably even Olive and I watched it all. We watched it week by week. There's about 2 episodes, I think 4 and 5, if I remember correctly. That not a lot ton happens, and you're kind of like, nah. But like it is a show in which it's just really good. Like I'm not gonna wax poetic about it too much. If you're looking for like a good procedural legal drama that is just filled with just people who know how to fucking act and know how to work and know how to do this stuff, then do that. It also, from my understanding of it, it varies enough from the movie in the book, from the movie from 1990 with Harrison Ford and the book written by Scott Turow. So if you have Apple TV Plus, you're one of like the 9 million people who have it, and they're just like hemorrhaging money right now. Go watch it because I want more shows like that. And apparently they're making a season 2 with a different cast, a different case. So if they can keep up the quality, we gotta fucking like I'm not. We have something special here. It's one of my favorite things of 2024. Um, for movies, it's weird. This is basically the year I just like lightened up a little, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be a little bit nicer. But that doesn't mean there aren't bad movies. My my least favorite one of the year probably is Bob Marley's One Love.
Mm.
I'm not gonna pile on to Argyle. Argyle's not a good movie. I saw it in theaters and it sucks. But a movie that I think is truly like bad is One Love. It's edited
You
poorly.
didn't one love it?
I didn't One Love it. I did give it 1 star. Uh,
Not with love.
basically take everything interesting about Bob Marley, and then it's not in the movie.
Okay.
um, not the impact of his music, not the how they create it, not the relationships and his dynamics and what he means for Jamaica and what he means for the world right now. Just make a pretty shitty biopic that is structurally awful, edited really poorly to the fact that Olive and I were even like, what is happening in this? Like, I don't really get it. It's not like put together well. That's probably my least favorite one I've seen of the year. But honestly, this year's just been pretty good for like major movies. Like nothing's been awful. There's a lot of 3-star stuff. Uh, like Roadhouse, I gave 3 stars. Like the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare by Guy Ritchie, I gave 3 stars. I gave The Idea of You, that Amazon Prime Anne Hathaway Harry Styles fan fiction movie, 3 stars. Godzilla, the New
Monkey.
Empire monkey movie. Is that what it's called? Is just like he swings a big monkey around. It's pretty cool. Um, so, I mean, like I'm a little bit lower on Civil War than you are, but Civil War is still really good. Bad Boys Ride or Die is still pretty good. Um, I would say like Fall Guy's pretty good. I would say my biggest like fuck yeahs of the year or challengers is probably my favorite thing I've seen so far this year. Twisters, the new Twister movie. If you're looking for a good summer blockbuster, something that I think is sorely missing, smart characters, excellent directing, a satisfying like summer movie. Watch Twisters. People seem to agree with it. Glenn Powell. I probably should watch Hitman. He's really good in it. The biggest two surprises for me this year were probably Dev Patel's directorial debut of Monkey Man, which I did not shut up about, and I saw it as soon as I could. And if you're looking for how this movie is marketed as like the Indian John Wick, you're sorely mistaken. It's not that. It's a much more, it's not as well directed, I should say, but it's a much more visceral and personal story uh about like the corruption in Indian culture and one man's like quest to like fight that corruption himself. Literally like through fucking like crawling in the dirt and with his hands and knees to like overcome something in adversity. It has special qualities of it, and Dev Patel I think can be a genuinely good action director, but it's a little bit too shaky at times to fully I think justify what it is, and it's like almost there. It's like one little touch away from being something special, but it's a really, really good movie that I think is very, very fun and I wish more people saw. And my true surprise of the year is Snack Shack. A coming of age movie that I think is slowly starting to gain traction on like Letterboxd, in the internet and stuff like that. It's set in like Nebraska in the 1990s, with the kid, Sammy Fableman, Gabriel LaBelle, who is going to be a big movie star. He has the it quality, but it's basically like take the best aspects, 5-star true, like holy shit, generational aspects of coming of age stories, and then mix them with the 3-star cliches, and you have Snack Shack, a movie that I think has enough personality, enough directing, and enough character and heart to overcome, like, in enough earnest, I would say, to overcome the times when it kind of like falls heavily into like genre conventions and the cliches of coming of age stories, to the point where you're like, I thought the movie was smarter or better than this. And I understand the intention. A lot of it comes with like the like the girl next door indie movie girl whose lines in character do not feel like they are in the same movie. When like two teenage boys are like having a friendship where every third word is an insult, and she comes in and she's like, that one's a keeper, and has like these like really awkward
Yeah.
like lines where she's like, I just like to think of myself as like and you're like, what is this? Like, where did that come from? But a movie with like a movie that understands like the coming of age elements, that the little moments are in their own way, just as intimate and important as the big grand moments in these movies. The moments where you sit down and have these little things that you remember that stand out, whether it's relationships with parents, relationships with older like brother figures. These little moments are just as important as the big movie coming of age moments where two characters are friends and they have their connections. They're on the same page and their same intimacy level. It is really something like special, and I want more people to see this movie. It's you can rent it and stuff like that. And then Came to the Planet of the Apes was pretty good. It was another monkey movie. That one. It's just like Avatar: Way of Water in terms of like it's a pretty fucking good blockbuster. I don't think it's as good as like the Matt Reeves 2,
Yeah.
but it's definitely on the same par, if not around the same as Rise. In a movie that has very little human characters, it's pretty fucking impressive. This is a good year for movies, surprisingly, genuinely surprisingly. Like I'm it's not obviously as good, and there's movies that I still haven't seen. Like I know I saw the TV Glow, is apparently really fucking good, and I have to check that out. But yeah, that's 2024. Do you want me to? I think that's all the movies I had. Long Legs,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Movies that we haven't already talked about.
Yeah, movies we haven't already talked about. Yeah, no, because I mean, like, it's not obviously not as good as last year, but like La Chimera, I think is pretty good that technically came out
Mm.
this year. So yeah, good year for movies. Fun
Yes.
stuff.
Unexpectedly good year for movies.
Unexpected so far. Yeah, I don't think my top 10 is as good as last year, but Challengers and Doom 2 and Snack Shack are pretty fucking good movies. Hard to argue.
Mm.
Pretty cool. Is that anything else?
No. I think I've said everything I want to say.
Hell yeah. Okay, Matt, take it away. Sound us out.
Bye. If
Where
you
can
like
people?
this, check out our other stuff. I already told everyone to leave a review last time. Well, actually, the podcast where I demanded you leave reviews hasn't been uploaded yet, so I can't hold anyone
They don't
accountable.
know that just yet when this is uploading. Don't break it.
Why didn't you leave a review?
You
Why did you leave a rating when
Yeah,
I asked at the start of the podcast? Why didn't you do it?
just
Why didn't you
sound
do it?
you
You're not
sound like
doing anything.
Maxine. You sound like Maxine or Pearl, where she's like, "Why'd you leave me? I thought you
Why'd
loved
you
me.
leave me?
I
No,
thought
he's
you loved
excellent.
me.
He's excellent. I
Yeah.
don't want to
What
dog.
went wrong? What did I
What
do?
what I do? What I do?
What did
What
I
I
do?
do? Why didn't you leave a review?
Yeah.
When you coming back
When you come back, you'll not keep me here.
on this farm?
I'm gonna be a star.
We're gonna be stars.
We're not frauds. We're film frauds. It's a good fucking movie.
That is a great movie. No.
Okay, what are we doing next? What's next week?
Salnier?
There. There's 3 movies.
Yeah, because he has a new movie coming out, which I didn't even know about until Tyler told me.
I told you, I'm like, I think it's coming out in like 2 months or a month. Blue Ruin, Green Room, and Hold the Dark, Alone in the
Yeah,
Dark,
Hold the Dark.
Hold the Dark. 2 of those
Are awesome. Two of those movies are awesome.
One of those, I won't tell you which one is not as awesome.
But it rhymes with Old to the Bark.
Yeah, good stuff. Fun stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to go I need to go send it to my new job stuff.
Okay.
I need that.
I'm happy you delayed this for 2 hours to
talk about this.
to do film frauds.
Oh my god. All right, we'll do Salnair and then we'll probably does that lead us into Romulus?
I think so.
Are we gonna have to talk about Alien Covenant? I do not want to do Alien Covenant.
I rewatched that for the Prometheus episode, and that almost
That was
killed me.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's time.
I actually rewatched Prometheus a couple months ago in November.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll figure out. That'll probably be a bonus episode where we get to just yammer on about like, oh my god, there's some.
Yeah.
Just like stammering.
Facehuggers.
What's the next modern classic we should do? Because we know what Film Frauds recommends we want to do next.
Yeah, I want to do The Last Duel at some point before Gladiator 2.
You just do The Last Duel next. We could figure that
Yeah.
out. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll talk amongst ourselves. You, me, and God.
We'll chatter. Yeah.
We'll chatter it up. Okay, thank you guys for listening. This has been fun. Matt.
No, we had to do a street cat named Bob. Is it a modern classic?
You sent that poster for Christmas with Bob. I was like, wow, this is great. Matt watched a movie called Street Cat Named Bob. I've never heard of it. He gave it 4 stars.
It's a good movie.
Why do you talk about that in your 2024?
It's a 2016 movie.
You know, I thought Bob transcends time.
Bob does well, Bob's dead.
Bob did not transcend time. He transcended.
Bob tried to transcend getting hit by a car and failed. That was so dark.
That's so fucked up.
No. Bob lived a fulfilling life. Bob got pet by Duchess Kate, and I'll never get pet by Duchess Kate. So
she gets pet by Duchess Kate in this movie?
No, in real life, Bob did.
Why is he a star?
He was a star when he was alive. He got a movie. He starred in a movie about his own life.
I kind of want to make a fucked up
twice.
Joke. I'm gonna make a fucked up joke off camera.
Okay, do
it. It's not that fun. It's just like you mentioned getting hit by a car and the royal family.
Okay. Oh no.
All right, thank you guys for listening. This has been fun. We have a pool just for Night. Oh yeah, Night Swim's a fun horror movie. You should go. 33 Tyler, my girl. Stop quoting music lyrics to me. Okay. All right, thank you guys for listening. Fuck you and goodbye.